to get started.
I think one other thing to add about what Tarah was saying earlier about preparing for the future is really building a corporate culture that embraces the very realistic expectation that you will be attacked at some point, right? It might be as your company is getting started, it might be in a year, but embracing the understanding that we're all under threat helps us realize how important security is as part of your business plan, as part of how you actually are creating your company. Gone are the days when people can be out on the internet and be relatively safe, right? We're all potential targets now. And the difference between a corporate culture that says security is everybody's responsibility, security is important and something that we're going to invest in, and a company that largely ignores it or sticks their head in the ground is the difference between a company that's going to adapt and one that's going to suffer really catastrophic losses.
Thank you. And let's talk about the roles of employers and employees in building a culture of security. And Matt, I'd like to direct this question to you. Microsoft is a good example of a company where the founder fostered a security culture. So can you speak to that and kind of start talking about the roles of employers in building a security culture?
Sure. Microsoft had a particularly painful series of events towards the early 2000s. And that was really our motivation to go change how we thought about what we were doing in the area of security. You as a startup might have different motivations. It's not clear that you're going to be on the front page tomorrow as we were back in 2002, 2003. But you know, as Julie talked about, there are many types of, there are many motivations. One might be we don't want to get on the FTC's radar. Others might be the fact that if you have an exit strategy that is, hey, we actually want our company to be successful and be potentially bought, the valuation of your company will rely on how quickly the acquiring company can actually bring that to market under their brand. And that's something that we look at as we think about what's the value of this company. If we have to go rewrite and rework the entire thing, that actually changes the valuation pretty abruptly. There's also the issue of, yes, you're a small company today, and how are you actually building that foundation for tomorrow and that you expect to be successful. And so set yourself up so that you don't have a shaky foundation. As I said, we went through a series of events back in 2001, 2002, 2003 around significant worms and virus attacks against Microsoft products. Bill Gates sent out a memo to the entire company. Didn't do this very often. In the 20-something years that I've been at Microsoft, I've probably only seen a memo from the top 3 or 4 times. One was in the 1995 era about the internet tidal wave, how Microsoft might have missed the boat on the internet, and we really needed to think about this in every one of our products. This was the other big one around trustworthy computing, and he really brought home the point that said, if we want people to use our products in their everyday lives, if we want them to be able to depend on them, then we need to be trustworthy. And to us, that means thinking about security and privacy and reliability right up front. And so that was kind of the sea change for us, is the executives of the company saying, this is a priority, and sometimes that priority needs to override the other things that we think are valuable, including that next feature, or even a shift of a timeline for release of a product. And it was super helpful for the company to have that kind of word from the top, giving everybody in the company kind of the ability to go prioritize that, because it was very easy to ignore it when we had a feature that we had to get to, a customer asking for a change in the product or a deadline coming up, we have to ship this by February. When instead we said, hey, we have to prioritize security and privacy for our customers higher than that next feature, it gave employees the ability to go use that and say, hey, wait a second, I think there's something we need to think about. There's a big risk here that we need to remediate. We need to go do some extra security work. It was important to hear that from the top, and then it was also important to see that in practice. At that point, we were in the final throes of shipping a product, Windows Server, which eventually became Windows Server 2003. And the question from the execs was, are we ready to go ship it? Having just seen this memo, seeing Bill say this is important to us, are we ready? And the answer was, well, we didn't do development of, secure development through the process of Windows Server 2003. And so, no, I don't know that we are ready to ship. And so the answer from the executives was, all right, we're going to stand everybody down and do nothing except for security for the next month. And so that was an action, again, large company, different sort of scale, but that was an action taken by the executives to show that security and privacy actually were important to us, and we would slip products in order to make that happen. So I think that organizational buy-in from the top, absolutely critical, because otherwise you don't give your people permission to do the right thing. There's also the responsibility of the employees. There's a ton that we can go into in terms of how we should be thinking about security, how they should rationalize what they're doing, how to prioritize the issues that they're working on, what sort of risks or risk management they should be doing, what sort of process they can employ to make sure they're doing development, secure development operations at the right time. But I'll leave that there.
Thank you.